Well, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, Governor Kathy Hochul will deliver her State of the State address. The speech will be her first as an elected governor of New York. Governor Hochul took the oath of office on January 1st, becoming New York's first elected female chief executive. She promised to address crime concerns and the state's high costs of living. Political strategist Javier Lacayo joins us this morning as we look ahead to the governor's speech this afternoon. Javier, good morning. Good to have you with us.
Good morning.
So let's talk about the governor's biggest challenge. What do you feel it's going to be?
The governor has a few challenges on her hands right now. Top of mind, I think, is housing and affordability. Just last month, the governor announced an ambitious plan to roll out 800,000 units of new affordable housing over the next 10 years. I expect we're going to hear details about that plan at her speech later today. Obviously, public safety is still a major concern. It was a big issue during the midterms in November, kept the race for governor in the single digits, which was closer than anything we've really seen in recent history. And so I think you can really expect her to make a play for those suburban voters that she lost out in Long Island, parts of Westchester outside of the city and other parts of the state. And so, I think making sure that she brings those Democratic voters back into the fold is going to be a major priority for her.
We always hear, obviously inflation, the cost of living compounded, here in New York, just everything costs so much. It's just such an expensive state, especially downstate here. Is that something she's got to start addressing? Is instead of hearing about the thousands of people that are fleeing New York because it's such an expensive place to live, a way of welcoming them back and keeping the people that already live here happy?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think housing is going to be core to that agenda, not just creating new housing, but protections for tenants who, increasingly feel like they're being victimized by landlords. I also think we've seen a big commitment from the governor and also from the mayor to reimagine a lot of spaces within New York City. You mentioned the sort of economic downturn. A lot of folks have sort of fled the city after the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think what we can expect to see is a continued push from the governor to find ways that we can reimagine some districts like Midtown, making them more mixed use, bringing in more housing, making them places where people not just want to work, but also want to live and spend recreational time. So again, we've heard few details and in the broad strokes about what the governor wants to do there. And so I think we're going to get a few more specifics hopefully later today.
She's got a Democratic legislature to work with, but was elected just with a small margin of victory, as we know. You think she's going to have any issues getting her agenda through?
I think it's going to be tough, even though she has Democrats in control of the Senate and in the Assembly. Right now we're seeing that she's at major odds with the state Senate over the nomination of the chief judge of the Court of Appeals. We have about over a dozen Democrats in the state Senate who have said that they will not support this nomination. You've also seen pushes from Hochul and from Mayor Adams around bail reform, but leaders in the Assembly and in the Senate seem pretty strong that they're not going to make any changes to the laws these years. So, we'll see what happens during the budget process, but I think a lot is certainly still up in the air as far as how strongly the legislature is able to get behind her agenda.
Okay, I heard you mention bail reform there. We've got 1 minute left, and I'm going to have to give you a hard cutoff here if you go too long, so I don't want to be rude. I'm just going to tell you right now. But let's talk about crime is obviously a big concern. Bail reform. Can anything get done on these two fronts further?
Yeah. Well, look, the reality is crime is up all around the country. There's really no data linking the increase in crime here in New York City to the bail law. So I think you will see investments in public safety, but I don't foresee we'll see any changes to the bail law in the next session.
And as far as crime, I know it's been a big issue, especially during the election. Continue to obviously make that a key point of this next few years.
100%. We've seen it. We've seen Mayor Adams make it a major priority, bringing mental health workers really more into the mix to deal with the homelessness crisis and interactions with law enforcement. So I think we can certainly, and also the cooperation between the mayor and the governor that we have right now, which is something we didn't see in the previous administration, and I think will go a long way to address the public safety concerns that a lot of New Yorkers are feeling right now.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Political strategist Javier Lacayo. Javier, thanks so much. Good to speak with you today.
Thank you, guys.
And we will find out, of course, more about Governor Hochul's address later this afternoon at 1 p.m. from Albany. We'll have it for you right here. Of course, a full recap of everything the governor has to say, and we'll be right back.